Hello everybody and welcome back yet again to another daily update video. My name is CryptoStash and I hope you're having an amazing week. Currently it is Wednesday and let's get right to the charts, as right now it is not looking good for Bitcoin. You can see we are right now rejecting from the weekly pivot after getting this move to the upside today from the lows that we made right here at 102.7. We got a nice move to the upside, but as you can see, we got almost 3%, but this is where the weekly pivot was, and I actually did show this move. Basically, you can see I did post this 10 hours ago. Next move for Bitcoin might be something like this, and you can see right here, test to the weekly pivot, potential rejection, and then a drop towards the downside. And look what happened exactly. Bitcoin pumped towards the weekly pivot from this low and then dumped to the downside, and my target is still 100k, the psychological level that we have, which is also sitting at the weekly S1. But if we start testing those lows again, we might break even lower than my initial target at 98k, since as you know, the more times one support and one level, it does not matter if it's support or resistance, gets tested, it would be weakening, and vice versa. If a level does not get tested, it means it is potentially will remain a strong level, like this one right here, which has remained strong for basically the whole move to the upside. If we measure it towards the all-time high, this low right here, this support remains strong and untouched for about 105 days. And right now it is about to be swept, in my opinion, as I have warned you in my previous videos. Also, the stock market did not open up good today. Basically not that much of a dump in the traditional markets. You can see almost 1%, which is completely normal. And we do have the weekly pivot sitting right here still not tested for this week. The same goes for the S&P 500. We need to see a potential correction of almost 2% to get down to that weekly pivot. But for right now, let's get back for Bitcoin. Now it is also still a possibility that we bounce from the S1 right here and then continue to push higher. But as you can see, all of those moving averages clipping to the downside is not a good look at all. On the hard time frames like the daily and like the weekly, we are also approaching once again the 50 EMA, which is basically the bull market support. In the past, you can see once we got above this moving average, this is when the bull market has started, and right now it is about to be tested for a third time in a row. You can see previously we tested it right here and right now right here. Actually, it would be tested. We got here 1, 2, 3, and right now it is the fourth time we tested 4. And right now, if we test again, that would be the fifth time. And in my opinion, the fifth time could potentially be the time where we actually break below it. And the next target would be the 100 EMA, which would be sitting around 88k. And the final target would be 65k. Now, it might be a bit higher, like potentially towards here, since the moving average moves with the time. But for right now, it is sitting at 65k. But in time when Bitcoin potentially approaches it, it might be a bit higher, like 71, 72k, which is completely normal. If we look at the liquidation heat map, you can see we grabbed all of this liquidity, which was sitting right here, which I told you yesterday. So a perfect planned move to the downside. We did have, as I said yesterday, very big shorts opening up right here. And because during this whole move to the downside, you can see right here our open interest and our CVD was going down. Basically, open interest was going up while CVD was going down and price action was going down. This would basically mean that there are short positions piling up right here, and they got squeezed today to the upside. And once those late short positions got out of the market, once the bigger whales, the market makers, liquidated them, then price you can see went down to the basically to our potential targets right here. You can see it did play out perfectly. Fear and greed index starting to drop back again, right now sitting at 26 in the fear zone. We actually did got a nice $500 million of ETF inflows for Bitcoin for today, which is actually interesting to see, since today all those institutions bought, and right now price is having a potential bull market test once again. So testing the 100k while the bigger whales are accumulating is of course not a good sign. If you look at Ethereum is right now testing this level right here once again as support. You can see we are having actually a not exactly a bounce. You can see a bit of a front run right here for a couple of bucks, but as I said, it might get tested. So hype is also the same as Bitcoin, tested the weekly pivot as resistance and rejected, and right now is pushing towards the S1. SUI also back below $2, absolutely terrible price action for SUI in my opinion. SUI after this massive capitulation week, SUI has been performing the worst. XRP testing almost the weekly pivot as support actually, so XRP still remains above the weekly pivot in its new range right here. You can see basically this would be the value area low, and right now we are trading below the POC, so the next target would be the weekly pivot and then potentially the S1. Bitcoin dominance, you can see still consolidating right here at those moving averages. Long versus shorts ratio for the day, we absolutely do have more sellers in the market for another day in the row. You can see on Hyperliquid the bigger whales are very big of a difference between longs and shorts, so smart money is of course short. You wanna follow this in these markets if you wanna be successful. Of course, this is not a financial advice, those are just my ways of following the market. You can always find your own edge. Funding rates, you can see, are still positive on the major exchanges. On Bybit we are flipping on the negative side. And also the news for today, you can see all the CPI data disappeared from our calendar right here. So this would mean, as I have told you, that we won't be getting any data potentially this week, and we might see some data next week if they reopen the government, or at basically the end of the month or at the beginning of the next month, which in my opinion is going to be the more probable scenario in which the government opens once again. But I think this would be it for today, guys. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for my channel, follow me on X, and I'll see you again on the next one. Bye.